can you tell us, in your own opinion, the rationale behind the tax proposal? And it was 50%. Now the Senate have jacked it up to 70%. What would you suggest as the workability, and how can it benefit Nigeria and Nigerians at the same time? Because Nigerians are listening to what is going on now.
Been explained, anything that is referred to as windfall means it's an unusual occurrence. You know, we're passing through a situation whereby banks have been able to make so much amount of money in terms of profit, which is not within their normal day-to-day business. It's not within their strategic activities or any strategic plan. You know, government just came in with a policy, and that policy now resulted in this huge differential. So that is one. And for us in Nigeria, windfall taxation is relatively new. It's uncommon. It has not been applied much, but globally the practice is very common, and it has happened especially in recent times with COVID-19. COVID-19 resulted in shutting down of the global economy, but then at the same time, some companies like in telecommunications were now made a lot of money because people were at home and they were making calls. And in some countries, windfall taxes were applied to such. And then in some countries also, you know, you find that windfall taxes are applied, you know, to certain specific companies or projects or industries or sectors. Like, for example, with the Ukraine-Russian war, some companies that were into provision of ammunition and all that made stupendous amount of money in the US and other places, and such taxes were applied. In some countries, these taxes vary, you know, depending on what it is. And you find that up to 95%, and in fact, I've come across one that charged up to 100%. So this is normal, you know, this is normal. But in the case of Nigeria, this is highly justified. You know, if you look at it, when the decision to float the Naira came in, and that decision meant, like the previous speaker said, you know, automatically whatever assets you have in foreign exchange have catapulted more or less from 700 and something Naira to a dollar to 1,500, 1,008, 1,009, as the case was. That was so much money. Now, but the beauty of it was that Central Bank of Nigeria, early enough, you know, instructed the banks not to give out dividends out of this income that was generated unusually. So there was, if you like, a careful and a very correct decision on the part of the central bank to avoid the banks spending the money. So these monies have not been spent because central bank had actually asked the banks not to distribute these monies in terms of dividends. Now, secondly, there is also the consideration, you know, about that it is retroactive. All over the world, globally, that is the practice. You know, windfall taxes are actually retroactive. More often than not, they are one-off. You know, they are not taxes that you levy continuously, you know, over a long period of time. And I believe 70% is very, very reasonable. This is something, this is money that is made not out of any effort on the part of the banks. And I believe, like the previous speaker said, some sectors have suffered. And you know, in taxation, what you are trying to do is to redistribute income. You know, make funds available, you know, to those sectors that, or those individuals that have suffered because of those decisions. And then government already, as you know, had come up with various initiatives and policies to support various sectors. You know, like, for example, the loans that will be given to manufacturing, to micro, small, and medium enterprises, the various palliatives, and all those things. Those are costs, you know, associated with this government policy that affected especially the issue of floating the foreign exchange. So government has a right, and I believe the other side of the economy also have the right, you know, that to mop up from banks, you know, some of these monies that was not out of any effort on their part, you know, that they have made. So this is in order, and I believe 70% is very good enough, and I think it's even very fair to the banks, because it was something that came to them like was stated as a windfall.